Let's start with 1912, Stockholm, Sweden. Picture this. July 14th, temperatures are hitting 90 degrees Fahrenheit with crazy humidity. Not exactly ideal marathon weather, right? Now imagine you're Francisco Lázaro, a 21-year-old carpenter from Portugal, about to run 26 miles in what would become the deadliest marathon in Olympic history. Here's where it gets wild. Before the race, Lázaro made a decision that would cost him his life. To protect himself from sunburn, he covered his entire body, and I mean his entire body, with a thick layer of beef fat and wax. He thought it would shield him from the sun's rays, but here's the problem. He basically sealed his skin in a waterproof barrier. His body couldn't cool itself through sweat. Think about that for a second. The race started at 1:45 p.m. with 69 runners. Lázaro began conservatively, running alongside competitors from Sweden, Finland, and South Africa. The early miles, no problem. But as the sun climbed higher and temperatures kept rising, runners started dropping like flies. Several collapsed from heat exhaustion and were pulled from the course. By the 18.6-mile mark, witnesses reported that Lázaro was staggering, confused, classic symptoms of heat stroke. His core body temperature was skyrocketing because his cooling system had completely failed. With just 5 miles to go, he collapsed suddenly on a dusty road near Södertälje. Spectators rushed to help. They found him unconscious, burning with fever, his skin pale and clammy beneath that melted wax coating. Swedish doctors transported him to Serafimer Hospital in Stockholm and worked frantically to save him. But it was too late. Lázaro never regained consciousness. He died the next morning from heat stroke and dehydration, becoming the first athlete to die during Olympic competition. His death wasn't in vain, though. It led to new safety protocols, mandatory water stations, temperature monitoring, things we take for granted today. Fast forward to February 12, 2010, Vancouver Winter Olympics. Georgian luger Nodar Kumaritashvili was making his final practice run just hours before the opening ceremony. The 21-year-old had trained his entire life for this moment, following in the footsteps of his father and uncle, who both represented Georgia in luge. But here's the thing. The Whistler track was notorious. We're talking the fastest and most dangerous luge track in the world, with speeds regularly exceeding 93 miles per hour. During training weeks, several athletes had crashed. Italian luger Armin Zogaler publicly called it too fast and dangerous. Romanian racer Violeta Strămăturaru suffered a concussion. The warning signs were everywhere. At 4:44 p.m., Kumaritashvili began his run. The first several turns passed normally as his speed increased. By the track's most challenging section, he was traveling at approximately 90 miles per hour, completely normal for experienced lugers. Then he approached turn 15, nicknamed 50-50. Something went wrong with his steering. Video analysis showed his sled drifting slightly left toward the outer wall. He tried to correct by applying pressure with his right leg, but the adjustment came too late and was too aggressive. What happened next was horrific. His sled shot up the banking of turn 16, launching him into the air like a projectile. He was thrown from the sled at over 87 miles per hour, flying several yards before striking a steel support pillar. The impact caused massive trauma to his head and chest. Medical personnel reached him within minutes and attempted CPR, but the injuries were unsurvivable. He was pronounced dead at Whistler Healthcare Center at 5:50 p.m., just hours before the opening ceremony that was supposed to celebrate the start of the Games. The aftermath? Track modifications were immediately implemented, higher walls, padding around steel supports. But the question remained, could this have been prevented? Now let's talk about 1960, Rome, Italy. This one's especially dark because we're talking about the first athlete to die from drug use during Olympic competition. August 26th, Danish cyclist Knud Enemark Jensen lined up for the 62-mile team time trial. The 23-year-old was part of Denmark's 4-man cycling team, competing under scorching Italian sun with temperatures reaching 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Brutal conditions. Here's what most people don't know. Jensen had been taking Ronyacol, a blood circulation stimulant. It was legal at the time, but later banned because of dangerous side effects, especially when combined with extreme exertion and heat. Athletes thought it improved performance by increasing blood flow. They had no idea what it could do in hot conditions. At 2 p.m., the Danish team began racing. For the first hour, Jensen seemed fine, rotating through the paceline, maintaining high speeds. But as the afternoon heat intensified, he started showing distress. His pedaling became less smooth. He struggled to maintain position. His teammates thought it was just normal racing fatigue. By the 54-mile mark, with just 8 miles remaining, Jensen was clearly in trouble. He was weaving, disoriented. His teammates encouraged him to push through, instead of recognizing he was having a medical emergency. With 5 miles left, Jensen suddenly collapsed while riding, falling from his bicycle onto hot asphalt. His teammates and race officials found him unconscious, with severe signs of heat stroke. His body temperature was dangerously high, breathing labored and irregular. Italian doctors transported him to a Rome hospital, where they tried desperately to save him. Jensen died several hours later from heat stroke exacerbated by the circulation stimulant. The autopsy revealed that Rognacol, combined with extreme heat and intense exertion, had overwhelmed his body's ability to regulate temperature. This tragedy sparked the first serious discussions about Olympic drug testing. It changed the games forever. Let's shift gears to 1964, Innsbruck, Austria. January 25th. Australian alpine skier Ross Milne was training on the downhill course at Patrickhoefel Mountain, preparing for the Winter Olympics beginning in just days. The 19-year-old from Sydney was one of Australia's most promising young skiers, representing his country despite limited access to world-class training facilities back home. Milne had arrived weeks early to get familiar with the Olympic downhill course. And let me tell you, this wasn't just any course. The Patrickhoefel downhill was considered one of the most challenging courses on the international circuit, featuring a vertical drop of over 2,850 feet and sections where skiers routinely exceeded 81 miles per hour. We're talking sharp turns, elevation changes, and split-second timing requirements. During his training run, Milne was skiing at racing speed through the upper section when he encountered a particularly challenging sequence of turns. Snow conditions were firm and fast, typical for World Cup-level racing, but absolutely unforgiving for any technical errors. As Milne approached a sharp left-hand turn at high speed, something went wrong. Whether it was his equipment or technique, he lost control of his skis. And here's the thing about Olympic-level downhill. The margin for error is virtually zero. Once you lose control at racing speeds, recovery becomes nearly impossible. Video footage showed Milne attempting to regain control as his skis drifted wide of the intended racing line. Fighting to bring his skis back, he was carried off the prepared racing surface into the trees bordering the course. At his estimated speed of over 62 miles per hour, the impact with the trees was catastrophic. Milne struck several large pine trees sequentially, suffering massive trauma that proved instantly fatal. Ski patrol and medical personnel reached the accident site within minutes, but survival was impossible, given the severity of the impact. His death shocked the Olympic community and led to improved downhill course safety measures, wider safety margins between racing lines and obstacles, better protective barriers, and more rigorous course inspection procedures that are still used in international ski racing today. Now, we need to talk about something that often gets overlooked when we discuss Olympic tragedies: the construction workers who died building these venues. Because the human cost of hosting the Olympics goes way beyond the athletes competing. Athens 2004 stands out for its tragic worker toll. The Greek government had delayed construction for years due to bureaucratic problems, which meant contractors had to work around the clock to meet deadlines. We're talking 16-hour shifts without adequate rest, safety protocols being ignored. It was a disaster waiting to happen.